Hello, my name is Grant Fritchey. I work for Redgate Software. I want to talk to you about sources of information. And in particular, the source of information I want to talk about is the GDPR. Your number one source of GDPR is, of course, my video channel. No, I'm kidding. There are multiple sources of where you should be getting information. I've done lots and lots of research on the GDPR, and I try to share condensed views of it with you on particular bits and pieces and topics. But if you really need to drill down on this, you need to go to a particular set of sources. Let me walk you through what they are and why you should be using these sources.
Hopefully this isn't a shock to anyone, but your number one source of information about the GDPR is in fact the General Data Protection Regulation as published online from the EU. You've got everything you need to know. It's only about 100 pages or so to read. It's pretty easy, but you can go through here and read this. Now, understand it's 100 pages for, this stuff, but then it gets really dense later. Let's just take a look at one of the articles. We'll pick Article 12 because this talks about communication and the rights of the individual. And so you can read through and it's fairly straightforward. But here's where things get interesting is when you start saying, well, okay, what are the procedures for the exercise of the rights of the data subject? And we then get these recitals, and the recitals are additional information expanding on and kind of detailing some of the information that is not yet been completely defined within the law. So you have a lot of information here, a lot of resources, a lot of drill down that you can follow through to track and understand what's going on in the GDPR. And this really should be your primary go-to location for information. Now, the GDPR was based on other laws and other regulations, and it was put together by other organizations in other countries. And so another resource is the Information Commissioner's Office in the UK. Now, they've got specifically a guide to the GDPR that is worth reading through and understanding. They expand on a lot of stuff because they've already had privacy regulations with enforcement going on for quite a while. Their ideas of what they think the enforcement's going to look like is very much a good guide for the kind of information you need. So this is worth looking through for just that information. And so they've got a guide, and then they've also got steps for getting ready for the GDPR. They've got myths, they've got facts for small organizations, GDPR for the boardroom. They've even got some videos. I mean, my videos are better, but they've got videos and stuff for you to look at. And so that's another fantastic resource that I've been using to expand my knowledge and my understanding of what's coming when GDPR enforcement starts on May 25th. Now, another resource that you can take advantage of is someone else who's been working on this pretty much nonstop from the beginning, and that's Microsoft, believe it or not. They've got a fantastic collection of videos, white papers, and other documentation in and around GDPR compliance. Yeah, if you go to the top, you can see that they also talk about their products and services. It's kind of hard to blame them for that. I mean, this is something of a consultant's dream, GDPR and GDPR compliance and privacy and protection and compliance in and around those. But the fact of the matter is that tooling helps. So let me make one more suggestion on resources for information, and that is to go to Redgate. Redgate Software, the data privacy and protection area, we have a lot of documentation. Personal data privacy and the GDPR, questions about the GDPR you were too shy to ask, or frankly, you didn't really want to know the answers to it. Questions about data governance, questions about data breaches, all this stuff is all in and around the GDPR, and we've got a lot of information. And yes, there are also tools that we're offering to help you with GDPR compliance And we've got the SQL Privacy Summit coming up Friday, May 8th. And I will put that down in the links to that down below in the description of this video. So anyway, those are my sources. I hit the GDPR itself and drill down through that. I definitely hit the ICO and Microsoft and Redgate. Those are the 4 places I go for most of my information. I do occasionally get stuff from some other sources, but those are the primary sources for almost everything I'm talking about, almost everything I'm saying, and they can be your sources as well.
All right, hopefully that was helpful, and you've got a better idea where to go and gather information. Keep an eye on this space. I will definitely keep up with stuff that's going on. I will report on news. I will definitely be spending a lot of time with GDPR and in the coming months, especially, May 25th is when enforcement begins, and it's going to be interesting to see, what happens day one, moment one of the enforcement of the GDPR. So keep an eye on the space, please. There's a little subscribe button. Subscribe and come back, and we'll talk more on the GDPR and, of course, other topics. My name is Grant Fritchey. I work for Redgate Software.